Last game I played is something that was actually in the Nintendo Indie World Showcase this week. Boyfriend Dungeon.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's on Games Pass, baby.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, day one Games Pass. So Boyfriend Dungeon is a dungeon crawler. It's also a dating sim, I guess, which you can almost guess from the name. So essentially, you're new to Venice Beach. You meet up with your cousin. They hook you up with an apartment, and then your cousin's like, "Hey, your mom told me you've never been on a date. I'm gonna help you with that. It's the summer of love, baby. I'm gonna hook you up." And in this world, some people can just turn into weapons, like they have that power. And humans who can't turn into weapons, like your main character, are called wielders. And you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship with the weapon. It can be a platonic thing, but essentially, in order to like get exercise and work out your fears, you can go to what they call a dunge, and they have one at the mall because apparently a lot of people's fears manifest at the mall. So I'm getting attacked by like cell phones and TVs, and my cousin's like, "Does this mean you fear technology? We'll have to delve deeper and find out." So there's like a psychological aspect to the game, which I found interesting. What else was interesting about the game, I thought, was the amount of times it tried to consider your feelings. So when you first start the game, it gives you a warning that this game has elements of unwanted advances and stalking and, situations like that in the game. And it says from time to time, the game will actually send you texts from a character called Mom. Do you want to turn this feature off? Which I found very interesting because personally, I don't have a very good relationship with my mom. And I don't find it triggering to get texts from a character called Mom. But since they put that to the forefront of my mind, because I went ahead and said, I don't want to miss out on content. When I started to get texts from my mom, I did start to feel some type of way. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? So then I switched my character.
Doesn't text me.
Right? So I was playing as a guy and I switched my character to a girl. And then I felt more detached. I was like, okay, I'm just playing as this girl and it's her mom.
Right.
You basically can meet weapons and then go on dates with them. And the more that you use them in the dungeon, the more like your bond points go up and then they'll invite you on more dates. And the characters are varied. And I decided to play through the game as thirsty as I could. And it's yielding very funny results, I have to say.
Yeah.
There's a particular character in the game who is quite... I don't know how to... He's very creepy. He runs a weapon shop, and he's like, I just think that real weapons are superior. Who needs a weapon that has feelings? Am I right? And he's just very exclusionary. They're writing him a certain type of way, and I think I know where they're going with them. And what's weird is I was on a date with a girl, and she thought she saw somebody watching us from like outside, and then she ended the date like, there's some weird energy going on. I feel like we're being watched, and I don't like it. She left. And then right after, the shop owner texted me. He left a rose on my doorstep and he's like, how did it go? And I'm like, how did what go?
Hell no.
Yeah, I know, right? So I think that he is actually stalking me. But currently I'm dating a really cute nightclub owner that I met in the dungeon. I like found that his sword, like he was kidnapped, I guess, and he just woke up in the dungeon. And that happened to another girl who was a dagger. And then the first character I met, he's like an S-stock or like a rapier-style sword, like a fencing sword. And he's like a businessman who has a very overbearing father. So I'm like getting to know all these different characters and just I'm thirsting after all of them. I'm just dating them so hard. You don't even know.
Date them even harder.
And it's fun. The combat in the dungeons is pretty good. It's a little clunky at first. It's very 2D, 4 directions. Like, you can move the character in 8 directions, but they don't stick to the middle kind of directions like they do north, south, east, and west, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it's like the isometrics is not as refined as, say, like Hades, right? Mm-hmm. And when you attack, you kind of get drawn forward. That combined with how surprisingly aggressive the monsters in the dungeon is, it takes a second to get used to the combat. And you might take more damage in the beginning than you mean to until you kind of get used to the behavior and what attacks you can avoid, what attacks you can punch through, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I find that dungeon crawling paired with a good story is my new jam. I used to really like dungeon crawlers. Like, we talked about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance on the show before, right? Like, I love stuff like that. But what I'm finding is when you take that formula and then you marry it with a good story, a la Hades, or this time in Boyfriend Dungeon, I like it even more because I feel more connected to my growth and my progress in the dungeon. I think that's one of the reasons why I took to Persona 3 so quickly. Because, I mean, this happens obviously in all the Persona games, but in Persona 3, you know, you do dungeon crawling and it's not very advanced or involved. The dungeons are procedurally generated, except for like the boss levels. They kind of look the same, but the music slightly changes as you go deeper and deeper, or I guess higher and higher up the tower. Yeah. And but just that merely having that connection to the real world and stuff that you do in the real world relationship wise affecting your progress in the dungeon and vice versa really elevates it. And I'm glad that, you know, other people are taking cues from that. And this is, I've never really played a dating sim before. I don't think they're really my bag. I don't particularly care to play dating sims on their own. But marrying with the dungeon crawler, I find that I can't get enough. I love this game.
Yeah, when Vicky saw the trailer for it, she said, "What?"
The best part, dude.
Oh my god.
The best part, oh my god, is when they first transform from a weapon into a person. It is gorgeously animated and sexy. like the first animation I saw was the nightclub owner. He was like a red sword, and then he transformed, and his shirt was already open so you could see his abs, and his hair was flowing. I was like, oh my god, this is the brown Adonis. Like, he was like, hello, and I was like, take me.
Take me to the nearest dungeon.
Do it. Let's go. As you know, I am a straight man, but I got the vapors. You know, he was just exhuming sexual energy. So no, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm going to date the shit out of everybody and see how it goes. I wanted to act thirsty all the way through, but some of the characters are exhibiting traits I don't really like. So I'm starting to kind of adjust my answers and be less agreeable and more like, I don't like that. You know, so I might close some doors in the game, but that's kind of the point. You know, everybody's going to play it differently. But I would highly recommend it. If you have Game Pass, no excuse not to get it. You have to try this game out. Otherwise, it's out now on Switch. If you want to buy it and support the developers, I feel like you should. And yeah, more to come on that, because I'll probably be playing a little bit more of it this week.